So, hello everybody. So it's Brittany, and I wanted to do a video on the very important film, The Sound of Freedom. First and foremost, this channel is a spiritual channel. We're here to help bring about a change and the betterment of humanity. That's the core of what we're trying to do on this channel through educating the masses and educating everybody on what they need to know spiritually to help develop themselves. So, The Sound of Freedom is a film that has a lot of propaganda and controversy surrounding it because it's talking about something that's very, very important, but very, very emotional, which is, um, trafficking, human trafficking, and slavery, um, and particularly with children. So the movie, it first begins, and by the way, this will be spoilers. Evil hides in plain sight because we don't feel comfortable talking about it. Evil hides in plain sight because we want to pretend like other things are more important. Evil hides in plain sight because we're distracted. We're lost in what we're doing. So we don't focus on what needs to be done to change and to make the world a better place. We complain about the world, but we don't do a lot. So in the movie The Sound of Freedom, it all begins with us being introduced to a little girl. This little girl happens to have a natural talent and have a natural love for creation. She is playing the drums and she is singing. A little later in the film, we are then introduced to a lady. This lady happens to be some type of talent agent or some type of person who is presenting herself to have connections in the entertainment industry. She convinces this father, who happens to be a single father, to allow his kids to be involved in a photo shoot. And they were going to screen the kids and see what they could do and see if they could be used in the industry. Then once the kids were brought to the area where they were going to take pictures and film them, then the father was told, no, you cannot come in here because no stage parents are allowed. No stage fathers are allowed. And he instinctually, intuitively, and protectively, he did want to be with his children, and he did want to see what was going on, but they had convinced him not to. Seeing these people, they had used manipulation tactics to kind of make the father second guess what he was instinctually planning on doing with the kids. Um, when the lady who was the talent agent, when she had first spoken to the parent, she kind of made a joke and said, ha ha ha, maybe we'll have to convince your dad to do this. Maybe we'll have to convince him to do this. She was hiding under the guise of femininity and beauty to disguise the evil that she was trying to manipulate them to get involved in and to do. And she was making it a joke to kind of put a little bit of a defiance in the kids. That was something that was kind of subliminally being shown, is that she was making it seem like maybe he didn't want them to be actors or to be in the film singing or dancing or something like that. So she was saying it in a jokingly way. Haha, maybe we need to convince him some more to do some more with you. At some point the kids go into the film to the photo shoot, and the adults had made it seem like it was protocol for them to drive into the car for another shoot. So this was how the kids were ultimately taken. The kids were taken because they were told, hey, we are taking you guys to this such and such place. And then the kids were gone before you know it. During the film, they expose that the network of how these human traffickers do things is they take them through a chain of undeveloped countries, and they kind of go from hands to hands to hands to hands. All these people are working in this underground type of network. It's like a spider web of people, and they go undetected because maybe they're paid off, or maybe they are bad people, you know? So ultimately, this is how the kids ended up being separated from the parents. The parents did call the police at some points, but the police, once the kids were gone, it was like they couldn't be found, because what they were doing was they were going to these underdeveloped countries and getting the children. A note that I want to make for people who may not know is that in a lot of these countries, especially in areas like Latin America and such, these are not areas where there is heavy security. So children are very, very precious, and they have to keep it somewhat secretive that there is a child, because you never know who might find out or who may know. So this is something to keep in mind, that they are targeting these areas. And in this film particularly, they targeted a single dad where there was no mother. So he was already kind of alone. In the entertainment industry, I understand why nepotism exists, because the reason why is because, to be honest, if your parents are in the entertainment industry, they already have an understanding of what is the entire uh, business that the child will be in. They're able to afford to pay for them to have security and people watch them. But a lot of times, these poor families that are putting their children into these situations, they can't afford to watch them by themselves, or maybe even put them in daycare. So they're sitting here trusting these people, and they actually don't have the money or the resources to make sure that the children are safe. So it's very important to realize that it may be intelligent to tell your child that, hey, you're not that kid that's going to be the Disney kid. You're not that person that's going to be young and get into this industry. You do have an opportunity, but you have an opportunity when you're old enough and when you can afford to do it with intelligence and wisdom. Because when you put them in this situation when they're too young, it's too easy to manipulate them and take advantage of them. And that's what this movie was trying to expose, is that this is a business where they're preying on the weaknesses of families that cannot afford to protect their children. Okay? And they're telling them things to idealize and glamorize what could be, you know. but these people don't necessarily have the education, nor do they have the real knowledge of the business to know if it's just all a fantasy or not. You know, do we really know what it's like to be a celebrity? Do we really know what it's like to be an actor or a musician or anything like that? We really don't know. We assume that we do, you know, but it may not be the perfect life, you know. It's being sold as the perfect life, but that doesn't mean that it is what the commercial says it is, okay? So that's something that is being communicated in this film. Tim Ballot, okay? Tim is a government, American police government agent type of person. He goes around to find and protect children, and he also puts these bad people in jail, okay? Um, when we are in the film, we are following him through the process of uncovering this dark network of people and how people in this dark world, how they think, what they do, who do they talk to, how does the chain happen, how do psychologically these people, how do they think, okay, why do they do it, and ultimately how do they do it. And you saw it going from the poor to the middle class to the rich to the mega rich. You know, we understood how do places like Epstein Island, how do they all begin to be developed? You know, we're seeing these characters in this film uh, play networkers, and we're understanding that to a degree he has to pretend, Tim, he has to pretend like he is okay with everything, and like he has to gain the trust of these people. So he does this all with keeping in mind of the children. Now, he is a man who is living in two worlds. One world is very dark, the other world is very peaceful. The reason why he is able to do what he does is because he has a solid foundation of family. You know, him and his wife, it was communicated in the film that his wife was keeping him pure and happy. They had a very positive relationship where they would talk and communicate all the time. And he is also a father of many children. So he had a genuine love for children, and he had that in him, that he was trying to be a father to these fatherless children who were lost in this dark world. You know, which was always to help the children and to get the children out. More than anything, he wanted to get the children out. And of course, you know, at some point in the film, they had talked about how many of these dark people are you putting in jail? Okay, but how many children do we save? And that was a huge point in the film that they were trying to make very clear, is that they put a lot of people in jail, but they don't necessarily rescue a lot of kids, and that's actually what they want to do. I want to encourage you that even though this is a spoiler, if you're a person who's not too sure if you necessarily want to see the film, to go ahead and, you know, watch this video, because I'm not a person who jumps on the bandwagon. I don't care, you know. I really say what I think and what I feel, and I'm really not a caterer. I don't cater to people. At some point in the movie, Tim rescues a child. He rescues a little boy. This little boy happens to be so happy and thankful that Tim saved him. And he asked him to please rescue his sister. He just so happened to had gotten a necklace from his sister before they were separated. The necklace says Timotheo. Timotheo means one who honors God. It's one who honors God, Timotheo. And it just so happened to be one of those serendipitous coincidences of the universe that he happened to have a necklace that was the same name of the person who had rescued him from this nightmare. So that was just a little bit of real. And the truth is that nobody wants to talk about it anyways. So when the parents, kids get lost in the situation, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And the truth is that if we all know about this, if we all stay informed about this, if we all take some type of responsibility and accountability for protecting the children in the world that we live in, we're not going to have such a nightmare that we're living in. You know, it's possible for this world to be a peaceful place. But yes, we do have to be actively aware of what's going on. So the true evil this movie is exposing is that ignorance is what is ultimately causing us as a humanity to lose our children, okay? To have these horrible things are happening to them because we are not educated. Okay, so this is why this movie is out. This movie has absolutely nothing to do with celebrities. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that this is a growing issue that children are being trafficked. Okay, so that's what this movie is about. It's about the topic, you know, and do not allow the propaganda or any of the drama and the gossip that surrounds the film to distract you from the point in the message. The point in the message is that the more we know, the more we can do, the more we can actively change is what we can do because we know what's going on. Okay? It doesn't matter if some people didn't want us to know. We know because they did not succeed. And we need to continue to learn and to educate ourselves in order to do what we have to do to prevent this from happening. Okay, so do not allow yourself to get lost and distracted into things that are not going to change anything or make the situation better for any kids. Okay, that is very important in this topic because there's a lot of propaganda that's out here trying to contaminate the mentality and the thoughts of the masses, and that is not going to help you. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they're talking about all these celebrities trying to expose one as a bad guy, the next is a bad guy, and then people are just sitting there mindlessly watching TV, just kind of just like, and it's not even going to fix anything.